Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started then. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. As I'm sure you're well aware, we have the fortunate opportunity to have a representative from Shad here today to share about the program and all of the amazing things that go along with it. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the floor over to Elvina.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Alvina, and I have a few slides to show you. So I'm going to go and share my screen now. There we go. And I'll just wait 2 more seconds for people to filter in, and then I'll get started. Okay, it's been 2 seconds. I don't want to waste any time. So I'm going to talk about the Shad program, and we're going to explore this idea of what it means to level up our summer. So as I said before, and as Madeline also said, I'm Alvina. I live in Amiskwaci, Wisconsin, in Treaty 6 territory, also known as Edmonton. So it's quite early in the day for me here, and I think quite a bit later in the day for most of you. And I am here to talk about Shad. So our plan for today in the next half hour is I'm going to talk briefly about what Shad is, and then I'm going to talk about who can be a Shad, who participates in our program, and then we'll kind of end with next steps and a chance to ask questions. So what is Shad? Shad is a STEAM entrepreneurship program for high school students. So STEAM is an acronym that I'm sure you all know already. It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And since you are all Canada-wide science fair folks, I'm sure you are already thinking about the parts of STEAM that are most interesting to you. So when I say a STEAM entrepreneurship program for high school students, what I mean is that in the Shad program, we take about 1,000 students from grade 10 and grade 11, and for the month of July, we send them to different campuses all across the country, from coast to coast to coast. And those students live on campus, they live in dorms, they eat on campus in the cafeterias. So there's this really cool chance to make amazing, meaningful connections with other folks who have the same interests in STEAM that you do. And you get to do really cool hands-on learning things. And you work together on a design team to explore something that we call STEAM for Good. Now, in a minute, I'm going to talk about what I mean by STEAM for Good. But what I want to say here is that the Shad program is a chance to leave home and head out on an adventure to explore STEAM learning with other folks the same age as you at a post-secondary campus somewhere in Canada. So STEAM for Good, what is that about? STEAM for Good is about solving challenges that Canadians and other folks in other communities face every day. So I have an example here. This is a problem that is happening in Canada and is happening elsewhere, this problem of food waste. So this is an article from the CBC from a few years ago that's talking about how half of all food produced in Canada is lost or wasted. So you can imagine that the lost food, the wasted food, has other implications down the road in lots of different communities. So one of the things that you would do at Shad is you would try to tackle this question, this challenge of how might we help Canadians reduce food waste. It's a real problem that people are really facing. Maybe you know someone who's faced the same problem too. And the way that we tackle this kind of problem at Shad is we first start by thinking about ideas. So we have a Padlet that I think is linked in the chat or will be linked in the chat soon. And what I would love for you to do is head over to the Padlet and share your ideas. If you've never used a Padlet before, it's really easy to use. You just click on the link and then it gets opened up in another window and you'll see a big black background and the question we're trying to answer. How might we help Canadians reduce food waste? And then in the bottom, you'll see a little plus sign with a circle around it. And you click on the plus sign to add something. You can add text, you can add an image, you can add a GIF or a GIF, whatever your pronunciation is. I see folks joining the Padlet now. So if you want to share your ideas by clicking on that plus sign down at the bottom, how might we help Canadians reduce food waste? And I'll give you a few moments to kind of think about what your ideas are and add your ideas here. Ooh, so we're getting some ideas. I love this. So this is an idea about what we can do with imperfect fruit and vegetables. Maybe instead of throwing them out, we can do something where we give imperfect fruit and veg out to folks who might not be able to afford them. Great idea. Let's see if we can brainstorm some new ideas. Food rescue, reducing prices of food near their best before date. Using programs like Loop, I love that. Less supply, so thinking more critically, kind of early on in the food production cycle about what we might need in the future and being really deliberate. Putting a smaller amount of food on our plates or making a smaller amount of food for meals, yes. So thinking kind of really locally about what we're doing. Thinking about community compost to regrow food. Yes, love these ideas. Okay, let's do maybe 10 more seconds to think of our ideas. I love them all. Using food waste to create biofuels, so cool. So great. Oh, and thinking about like the cost of food, having food buffets that charge for food waste is a way to kind of put a dollar amount. Maybe we can take that idea and use that as an incentive to prevent food waste. Oh, so cool. Growing our own veg. Yes, growing our own food. So cool. Oh, wait, I love these ideas. We're going to take these ideas and we're going to keep building on them. This is so great. So what we would do at Shad with this question of how might we help Canadians reduce food waste is we would tackle this with a design thinking process. So the way that design thinking works is we start by exploring an idea, like the idea of food waste. And then we try to define what it is about the problem that we might be able to solve. So maybe there's something about a particular group, a particular community that's facing this problem that we can support. We try to get a little bit more specific, and we try to ask a specific question that then we try to brainstorm or ideate about. That's what we just did. We brainstormed some cool ideas, and then we choose one of those ideas, we decide, and we actually make it. We prototype, we test it out, see if it works. And then usually what happens is it doesn't work as well as we thought. And so we go back to the ideation and we go back to the decision, we go back to making, and often we do like a loop in this like bottom half over and over again of prototyping and trying and going back to the drawing board. And then once we've gotten something that we are really happy with, that does solve the problem that we are seeking to solve, then we share the story. And this is where that entrepreneurial part comes in. We've created something, and then we practice together what it means to pitch that idea to other people who might be, for example, in an industry where we might want to go in the future. So let's talk a little bit for just a moment or two about this ideation piece, which I think is like the funnest piece of Shad. So we have these great ideas on our Padlet about how we might help Canadians reduce food waste. So one of the ways that we can ideate, one of the ways that we can grow our ideas is to have some constraints around those ideas, which sounds kind of backwards, but it's an interesting way to think about things. So going back to our Padlet of ideas about how we can help Canadians reduce food waste, what's the most expensive idea you can think of? The sky's the limit. You can think of anything as long as it's pricey. So I'll give you a minute or two just to munch on that A provincial food sharing program just came up. A huge industrial composting facility, the biggest composting facility we can think of. Yes, cool. And like with the nicest mechanical components, the most expensive. Yeah, cool. Robots, build a robot that can take the old food and make it into new tasty food. Yes, I love that. I love robots. Anything that involves a robot is cool with me. Awesome. Okay, I'll wait maybe 30 more seconds for one or two more expensive ideas. Research into using biomaterials to turn the food waste into electricity. Cool. Such cool ideas. All right. Let's do one more. How about an idea that involves no tech? If that's too hard, maybe low tech, but like as low to no tech as you can think of. Using seeds. Oh yeah, to kind of help with the food supply side, using seeds to kind of replant. Yes, that's a cool idea. Donating food. Yeah. So stuff that's closer on the best before date, we can give that food away. We can donate it in a way that doesn't involve very much technology, or in fact, in ways, if we wanted to, that involved a lot of technology, like that loop idea. Okay, very cool ideas. I love them. So other ways that we can think about it, which I'm not going to ask you to write on the Padlet, but I want you to kind of munch on, are things like taking all of these ideas and thinking about how we kind of learned from each other and how we built from each other's ideas. So we have this question, how might we help Canadians reduce food waste? We got all of these cool ideas that then we had to constrain a little bit, which led us to even more interesting ideas. So what we did was we created this amazing list together. We worked together to begin to solve this problem of food waste. And that's exactly what happens at Shad. Shad is a place where we work together to solve problems. So every year at Shad, there's a different design challenge. The design challenge that we just talked about was reducing food waste. Here's a list of the past few years' design challenge at Shad. So you can see that there's questions about treating fresh water with more respect, thinking about food security, even things like playing outside. So all of the design challenges have a connection to some kind of issue that affects a lot of people, something that can make a real difference in our community when we solve these problems. So the other things that happen at Shad are hands-on STEAM or STEM learning. So the folks who go to Shad get to go to real life state-of-the-art facilities and use the same materials and spaces that post-secondary researchers use. It's so cool. And you also get to do things like attend lectures, seminars, workshops from community leaders, post-secondary faculty, and industry experts to really think deeply about that idea of STEAM for good. You also get to spend a lot of time with cool people who are interested in the same things that you are. So you really get to immerse yourself in a pan-Canadian group and see what's possible. Because we take students from all over the country and put them in universities all over the country, there's a great chance that you will meet someone from a community that you have not been able to connect with before because of how diverse each of these groups are. It's really awesome. And then after the month of July, some really amazing things happen, and there are some great long-term benefits to the program. So students in the Shad program can earn high school credits, they can earn IB credits towards the CAS or Creativity Action Service component of IB. There are exclusive scholarships for Shad participants for some of our partner universities. There's also, which I think is kind of the best long-term benefit, you get a chance to connect your passion to your pathways. So you already know a lot about what you like. Shad is a way to find out some more cool things that you might not have been able to discover before, and also to take the stuff that you already know about, the stuff that you already like, the stuff that you're already good at, and think about what you can do to leverage those things into a future outside of school, after school is done. We also have an amazing Shad alumni network made up of thousands of people all over the country. This program has been going on for 40 years, and we are really excited to connect our younger Shads with older Shads who have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge to share. So who can be a Shad? Folks who are in grade 10 and 11 who are or who want to be curious, creative, confident, empathetic, self-empowered, and resilient. So obviously, knowing some stuff about STEM is a good place to start, but Shad is a place to learn about things like science and math. You don't have to come into Shad knowing everything about science. You go to Shad to learn more. What we're most interested in are the students who are curious and want to know more, the ones who are creative and maybe want to be in a new place to experiment with confidence. That's the kind of thing that we're interested in. So you might be wondering about financial support and cost. So we're very lucky at Shad. We have an amazing group of donors. And because of those donors, we can provide financial aid for full and partial program fees for students. So about 1 in 3 Shads receive some kind of financial support. So it's really quite like a common and normal thing to get financial aid to join the program. In 2019, we gave away over $1 million of funding so people could come to our program. There's also no application fee. So if you are kind of on the fence about it, you can apply and then go from there to see what's possible, which I think is really cool. Okay, so next steps. Our applications open in the fall, usually in October, and then you have a few months to work on your application. It's due at the beginning of December. We let folks know that they got into the program in February, and then the program itself takes place in July. If you are excited, and I assume you are because you are here, you can do things like stay in the loop right now. You can head over to shad.ca/apply, and you can join our notification list. That way you get an email right to you when applications open so that you can be like first to know what's happening. And you can also start thinking about your application now, even though they're not open. You can start to think about how to tell your story. So in the application, what we do is we ask students to tell us about themselves. There's a personal essay part of the program, or part of the program application. We also ask for academic transcripts. We ask for a reference letter. So if you are someone who has like a great science teacher, or maybe an elder in your community, maybe you volunteer or you do something else and you have an adult that you think would write a good reference letter for you, you can start talking to them really soon about writing that letter for you. And we also have an optional creative demonstration, which is a way for you to tell your story through something other than written words. So if that's something that appeals to you, you can start working on the painting or poem or dance that tells your story. And then you can be really ready in the fall when applications open. So we have, I think, 10 minutes now for questions. Are there any questions, Manu?
There are. I'm just going to pull them up here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so to start us off, someone has asked, what is the biggest thing that you hope people take away from a Shad program?
Ooh, like me personally,
I believe so.
Okay, cool. I would say that I would hope that every Shad comes away with a deeper, okay, this is a cheating answer because it's more than one thing. It's not just one thing. Sorry in advance. I would want them to come away with a deeper understanding of themselves and what they can do with their strengths. Everybody comes to the Shad program with a unique like knowledge and story. And I love to see students kind of discover how valuable that knowledge is. So that's one thing. And I would also love students to come out of the program with a different relationship towards like risk and entrepreneurial spirit. Because Shad is a place where failure happens all the time. It becomes like a really mundane thing. So you kind of get almost immune to the bad parts of failure and you just see it as a chance to learn. And I think those two things are really powerful.
Okay, thank you. That was a phenomenal answer. Next, someone has asked, when are applications due and how much does the program cost?
So applications are usually due in December, like right near the beginning of December.
Mhm.
The application cost varies from year to year. I think this year it's about $6,000, which is a lot of money, but I just want to stress again that we have a lot of financial assistance available. And we have scholarships not only for folks who apply through our program, but like some school districts will give successful applicants scholarships like through the school district. So there are lots of different ways that you can get financial support to come.
Okay, that's great to know. Next, someone has asked, what does Shad do to promote diversity and inclusion in their program?
Oh, that's a great question. I really appreciate that so much. So one of the big things that we have always really worked towards since the 80s when the program started is we've tried to have gender parity. We're really interested in supporting women in STEM. And since the beginning, we've had equal numbers of young men and young women. We also work with a lot of community partners. For example, the Verner J. Kirkness Foundation, which supports First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students in STEM. We have a partnership with them to support students who go through their program into coming into Shad. And we have several other programs like that, and we're working on more of them. It's something that we are growing in right now.
Okay, thank you so much. And next, someone has asked, what kind of skills can Shad let me develop that will be useful for my future career in STEM?
So a lot of the skills are skills that are things that are related to post-secondary. So something that you wouldn't necessarily have access to at your high school, but you would have access to at a post-secondary. It's kind of like a way to taste those things. We have industry experts who give special workshops. So for example, Texas Instruments comes and they do workshops for students. There's also more soft skills that students get support on. So we have a lot of support and we spend a lot of time teaching students about things like collaboration and what it means to work together and really build something together. And I'm going to go back to that entrepreneurial mindset. We spend a lot of time thinking about that idea of risk taking in a smart way.
Okay, thank you. Next, someone has asked, do I get to choose which university I go to for Shad?
Okay, so no, but we try to work with every student to take their preferences into account. So the way it works is once you get into the program, you can rank all of the campuses. We have 20 of them all over the country. So you let us know what your preferences are, and then we take those into account. But we also have to take a whole bunch of other factors into account. So it's not always possible to get your very first choice, but we do listen as much as we can to make sure that you get something that's a good fit.
Okay, thank you. Next, someone has asked, does the Shad experience vary depending on what university I choose to attend?
Yes. So such a great question. And the short answer is yes, because each campus has their own set of facilities. Each campus is run by a different program director, someone who's part of that campus. Each campus also has their own particular group of Shads. So all of those things will kind of work together to build a unique experience. One thing to keep in mind is the design challenge is always the same. So every Shad in 2021 had the same design challenge, but based on where they were and who they were with, their solutions to that challenge were different. So it does differ.
Okay, that's great to know. Someone has also asked if they can't afford to attend Shad but still really want to go, is there anything that can be done?
Yes, such a good question, and 100%. There's so many things that you can do. We offer scholarships. Lots of other organizations offer scholarships. We've had students in the past fundraise really successfully to be able to come. We have a part of our website dedicated exclusively to financial aid and other fee information. So if you head to shad.ca, you'll see in the menu, there's an option to learn more about the different financial assistance supports.
Okay. Someone has also asked if there is a Shad campus in every province or territory.
Oh, that's a good question. Let me look at my list of them. I don't think we have one in every territory because I don't think we are in Yukon, but we have campuses in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan. We have a ton in Atlantic Canada. We have so many in Ontario. And we're working on growing to have more and more campuses every year. So hopefully soon we will have one in every province and territory.
That is definitely an exciting prospect.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, what advice would you give to someone that is considering applying for Shad or someone that's filling out an application?
My advice would be to think about all of the things that you do, even the stuff that you take for granted, because all of those parts of you telling your story are important for us to hear. So sometimes students kind of discount their experiences as like not being worthy of part of their application. So an example of that might be if you are an older sibling and you spend a lot of your time taking care of your younger siblings, you might think that doesn't belong on your application, but it absolutely does. So when we think about that idea of like supporting our community, we're thinking about that really broadly. And the advice that I have is to try to kind of bring that lens to your own life, even if it feels like, you know, this thing isn't that impressive. It is. You are an impressive person, 100%, and your story is worth sharing.
That is great advice for future applicants. Next, someone has asked if the University of Windsor has a Shad campus.
Oh, that is a great question. I don't think so. I'm looking at my list, and it is not on that list, so no. But if you head to our website, I don't want to like bore everyone by naming all of them, but all of them are listed on our website at shad.ca.
Okay, and our last question here is, what benefits are there to being a member of the Shad network, even as an alumni?
Oh, so there are amazing benefits. So sometimes those benefits are monetary benefits. So I mentioned that there are exclusive scholarships at different post-secondary universities. So that's for attending post-secondary universities as a student. There's also benefits in the network that you gain. So you get connected with folks who are interested in mentoring you. And then later on, you might be interested in mentoring someone. All of the people who go through the program come out of it with amazing skills and amazing stories that other folks can benefit from. So that mentorship piece is really, really important. There's also sometimes stories I've heard of people hiring someone that they met through the alumni network. So it's a nice way to kind of think about all of the options and connections that you can have, not just for soft skills and mentorship, but also for like future career options.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing all of the information on this excellent program. I know that you cannot stress enough how many amazing benefits there are to attending, and I sincerely hope that lots of our finalists will be looking into this further. So thank you so much for your time today, Alvina.
Thank you. And thank you all so much. I really appreciated the chance to talk to you all. And I really appreciated the moderation. That was so helpful, Melanie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.